Hi, welcome back to Exo Digital on the Couch. You met me on Tuesday and I introduced myself. I'm the Client Engagement Director for Exo Digital. And today on the couch, we have Pierce O'Brien, who has been with us a short time, but has years of experience. So Pierce, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, g'day guys. I'm Pierce. I've been working in web, UI, UX, and now product for about 5 or 6 years. Yeah, recently joined Exo, but really enjoying myself.
Fantastic. And what has been your focus since joining Exo?
So I've been working on our internal products so far and kind of leading our product design process. Yeah.
Fantastic. And with a rant or a rave today, what are you going with?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's a bit in the middle. Rant or a rave. Yeah, it's a bit in the middle. We were recently contacted by a client who wanted us to consult with them, that wanted us to kind of contribute to their existing product flow. When we started to speak to them about their process, they didn't really have the usual elements that we would define and create for a company as their product baseline. So there wasn't user flows done, there was no information architecture, and that made it really difficult for us to come into the project because we were coming in blind. The best thing I think that companies can kind of focus on is building up that initial stage of your product infrastructure. So we suggested that we should work on that first to kind of build that up. So whether they went with us or with someone else, they'd have a really good baseline to kick off from.
Sure. So what does that process look like in building up a product baseline? What would you normally do with a client?
Yeah, so we kind of, so in this case, we kind of get into the nitty gritty of the research side around why they were doing it, any user interviews that they'd done, make sure that those were documented, shareable, and online for the entire team to see. And then we'd move into creating out that information architecture and user flows.
Mhm.
So these elements aren't just important for us as designers, but they're shared across the entire team. Developers understand user flows really well. It's also a quick and easy way to show stakeholders or anyone else that you're trying to communicate your idea to. The good thing about the products that we use is that these things can be updated. So as the product moves on and potentially an onboarding has changed or a different part of the user flow has changed, we can just go in and change that. So these things that we're talking about creating need to be tended to, but they really do offer so much clarity, not just to you, but to the wider team.
Sure. And in this case, in dealing with this client, did they need additional research? Did you feel like that there were gaps in the knowledge that we had?
I think that they potentially, yes. I think they were making a lot of assumptions around why users were coming to their website and how they were using their website. But I think that they had good indicators and a good backbone. But I think maybe just further research might have helped out a little bit more to clarify the goals of the user and also where they should be putting in the effort in their product.
Sure. And I know that in dealing with this client, they made the decision not to look at building out their customer journey and just focus on that particular product delivery. So what would be your message to other clients who are in the same position? You know, obviously there's a cost associated with going back and putting that customer journey and that product plan in place. Obviously, there's a negative effect on the overall efficiency, as you've just pointed out, and the delivery of the product at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, yeah, when we were kind of discussing this recently and talking about what kind of happened with that client, I think like the best way to kind of think about this is something that we call or that is commonly referred to as product debt. So product debt is anything that's kind of affecting your product or your internal efficiency. So something like not building out that baseline and not having those core elements to explain what your product is and define it to different team members that might be interacting with your product, whether that's team managers understanding what the flow is, designers understanding the flow and how to design to it, or developers thinking at it on a high level. If you don't have those, kind of crafted, you're effectively racking up debt. And every meeting that you need to have to explain it, every document that you're creating, you're slowly racking up time, and that's money. So I think the most effective thing for a company to do once they are kind of aware that that might be happening in their business is to focus on that that's an issue and put a stop to it, which is the best thing to do. So you kind of just stop the bleeding, acknowledge that you've got an issue, and then start working towards crafting a solution. And I think putting in those kind of high level elements to define what your product is the best way to move forward on that.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know that you've, in the company that you worked with previously, you had a method of being able to track that debt that you were accruing. What did that look like?
Yeah, so there's a different terminology, I guess, in product, the way that we kind of talk about debt. So we have like product debt, which might be design related or internal efficiency related. And we have tech debt, which is relating to, data infrastructure or anything else that might be detracting away from our efficiency. So we used to once we had acknowledged a problem, we used to write out a ticket and put it on the wall, just a sticky note. And then any time that we saw that ticket was a recurring issue, we would put $1 on it, which I think is a great way to signify to everyone in the business how much these particular problems are costing you. To have a visual kind of on the window, something that's clearly in everyone's view every single day, this particular issue is costing us money, I think is a really effective way to kind of deal with this.
Yeah, fantastic. And if you're going through this development process, is that baseline, obviously once you've got that, you've got it for good, it's done. But is this something that you add to and iterate on over time?
Yeah, you would be. So if you're adding new product functionality into your wider information architecture or your user flows, these documents would have to be come back to intended to. But again, the work that you're putting in there is for the efficiency of your team. You want your team to have one common place that they know they can go to and understand where the product is at a given time. So there's many different ways that you can do that. You could use Miro. You could be using a spreadsheet. You could go as lo-fi as you want, but I think it's really important for companies to have some sort of established source for the 101 of their product.
Fantastic. Well, Piers, thank you very much for your time today. If you want any more information, you can go to exodigital.com.au or Google us and give us a call to have a chat about the problems that you may be experiencing within your organisation. So we'll be back tomorrow with another member of our team. And thanks again, Piers. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, guys.